This arc is going to end me. How's it going, folks? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking all about Fruits Basket Season 2, Episode 8. But before we get into that, I do, as always, want to give a big thank you to some of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter. So a big thank you to Dude Melio, D Cherry Wolf, A Snapshots, Darkfire Player 4, and Matt87 Eagle. Thanks so much for sharing last week's video, you guys. And if you too would like to be in the next Fruits Basket video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout out the first 5 of you in next week's video. Okay, so I wasn't kidding when I said that this arc might be the end of me. I am so nervous about everything that's going on. Every episode has some moment where I'm like overcome with great and powerful emotion, and then other moments where I'm panicking and having a mild heart attack at the idea that something might happen to the precious Tohru or the precious Somas outside of Akito, because screw that guy. But like, still, it's very much a heart-wrenching, soul-tearing experience, but at the same time it heals that soul, and then it proceeds to tear it apart again, only to heal it again. That's been this arc of FruBa. Am I making any sense at all? I don't think I am, but that's just the power of the beach arc, because it is absolutely killing me. Anyway, I have, as always, my notes, and we're gonna go through my notes. And I have 3 notes this week. I have the big one, Shigure's weird plan, and for an episode titled Dog, I was surprised that we don't really see the dog that much. Shigure is mostly a background player in this this episode, not this arc, but you know what I mean. We talk about episodes here. We talk about the weekly episodes, not the show as a whole. So this week's episode, yeah, Shigure not really a big key player in this episode. But yeah, we have Shigure's weird plan. We have Yuki versus Kyo, which does come back again. We haven't seen that in a hot minute. And most of all, and this is the one I think we're going to start with, Rin being an angsty child is what I've written down. Let's go ahead and start there. So when we open this week's episode, we actually open with Rin, which is a pleasant surprise. Again, I don't know anything about this character. All I know is what I am being presented. I am an anime only. I have never encountered this character in my life until now, right? So my initial impression was, wow, she broke my boy's heart, and she's a jerk. She sucks. Like, that was my initial, like, huh, what a jerk. Like, that was just my initial thought, because we don't know the reason behind her actions yet, but the amount of people who have been like, Ren! Like, everybody's so excited to see her, and because it's Fruits Basket, and Fruits Basket has a habit of redeeming characters and making you understand why characters do the things that they do, even if they're not necessarily redeemed, you always understand, and to some degree, with characters like Hero, you might even grow to like them. And I have a feeling that's probably what's going to happen with Rin, so I'm trying to reserve a lot of my my bitterness, because there's things that she does in this week's episode that bug me, right? Like, specifically when we open, and she's apparently, like, living with Kaguya, which is cool. Did I say Kaguya? I meant Kagura. My goodness, I'm sorry. I got Kaguya on the brain. Kaguya and FruBa are like the top tier shows this season, and whenever I talk about the two of them, whenever I talk about one of them, I inevitably have to talk about the other one. Regardless, she ends up having an argument with Kagura, which I thought was interesting, because I didn't even know that the two were, like, aware of each other. I mean, obviously all the Zodiacs have to know each other, but I didn't know that this was the extent of their dynamic, the fact that it seems as though Rin is, like, rooming with Kagura. And I missed Kagura. I haven't seen my girl in a while, and it was nice to see her. Of course, she has to kick a door down like she's Dane Cook or something, but yeah, that the whole scene where she's like, "Don't give me your fake love, it makes me cringe." I was like, okay, you really are an angsty child. You're an angsty child from the 2000s who uses words like cringe. You know, my girl shops at Hot Topic and listens to My Chemical Romance and shit. I can't even make fun of her because I still listen to My Chemical Romance. MC Awful Life, anyway. But yeah, that was quite the start to the episode, and it's immediately followed by Rin walking her ass the whole way to the beach. Now listen, I know that she has the horse spirit within her. You know, she has that fire. She has spirit within her. If you got that joke, good for you. But she has the horse spirit literally within her. So I get that Horses can travel great distances. I understand this. I've seen Jean from Attack on Titan walk a hell of a long way. But for Kagura, regardless of whether or not you have the horse spirit, that is impressive. So, like, it doesn't surprise me that she walked all that way. We see her exhausted, and by the time we see her again, towards like the end of the episode, she's in her horse form because she's sick. She literally walked herself all the way there. A trip, mind you, that they had to take a car and travel a great distance to get to. This isn't around the corner. This is pretty far out. She walked all the way there, got sick, passed out in the woods, and had to be taken care of by Tohru in a scene that actually kind of reminded me of when the Somas first stumbled across Haru, just like finding her kind of like worn down in the woods. So I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of fortuitous meeting. And I thought this was going to be a sweet little moment where, like, maybe Rin doesn't know who Tohru is, so she's going to be nice to her or something like that. No, Rin is keeping that angsty child alive, and she attempts to, and this is where you lose me, right? This is where I'm like, okay, I was giving you the benefit of the doubt, now you're really going to have to work for it. She tries to kick Tohru. Kick in horse form. That could have taken Tohru's head off. Like, I was like, okay, like, I understand that she doesn't want help, because she says, like, don't get Hattori, don't tell anybody I'm here, do not, like, don't. And Tohru, being, like, the sweetest, just being Tohru, is like, let me go get you some clothes. Runs off and gets clothes. There's a funny little moment where she's like, I think these clothes aren't really gonna fit her, because, you know, they're built different is what I'll say. But yeah, Rin doesn't do herself any favors following this either, by basically threatening to kill Yuki. Like, obviously she's just being angsty, I don't think she means it, but then she straight up calls him Akito's toy, and I was pissed for Yuki, but Yuki doesn't seem phased at all. Normally that would have, like, froze him, put him on his heels and shit, but no, not new Yuki, not new and improved badass Yuki. No, this just kind of, he just gives her a look like, really? And then she just storms off, and that's the last we see of her in the episode. That was a surprise. Yuki, in general, is a surprise this week, which I suppose is really just carrying over what happened last week, where we have this big cathartic, like, Yuki is accepting himself and he's ready to move forward because he knows that Tohru is precious to him, and he's ready to put in the work and be strong, emotionally strong. I love that. Like, this is such a good evolution of Yuki's character, to see him, like, almost take on some of the confidence of somebody like Akito, but using the kindness of somebody like Tohru. Like, both are having an influence on him in different ways, and I all positive, even though it's coming from Akito, a place of nothing but scorn and awful shit. I'm not that eloquent, but a place of just awfulness, and a place of great kindness like Tohru. And you combine those two and you get the sudden confidence boost that we see in Yuki. This is like Yuki going Ultra Instinct from Dragon Ball Super. Like, this is Yuki's Ultra Instinct form, and I gotta say I'm impressed. And I do think this is all according to Keikaku. I do think this is all according to Shigure's weird plan. And I really feel like this episode, if you didn't get the hint last episode, you really get it this episode. Like, if I had no clue what his plan was then, I definitely know now. And what I mean by that is I really feel like all these little hints feel as though they're building towards something bigger. The moment I'm thinking of specifically is when Shigure asks Yuki what Akito said to him, because he's very curious, right? Like, he's watashi kinu narimasu. He needs to know. And he just replies with the truth. And Yuki's like, are you happy to hear that? And he walks away. And Shigure's like, no, I'm not happy to hear that at all. And he seems disappointed. And here, this is where I got it, right? It's this line and another line. There's two lines in this week's episode that really make me feel like I'm getting a grasp on what Shigure is trying to do. Even though he's being very nefarious about it, I do think ultimately, in his view, the ends will justify the means. I feel like maybe you could have been less shady about it, but at the same time, maybe if you were less shady about it, it wouldn't have worked. I don't really know yet. We're gonna have to wait to see how the plan unfolds. But it's that line of, no, I'm not happy about that in the least, when he finds out that Akito just told him the truth, in air quotes. And then we have another scene later on with Haru, where Haru is basically sort of being smothered by Akito. And it's a creepy scene too. Like, honestly, this whole Akito, like, being, like, weirdly all over the other Zodiac, just, no. Like, just no. Go away, you creepy dick. Like, it's really uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, like, narratively, oh, this is a poorly written scene. No, this is brilliantly friggin' written, because it's meant to drag that out of you, that, like, get away from my boy. Like, it's supposed to drag that out of you, and you feel it in this. And, like, Akito trying his best to, like, make Haru feel bad. But Haru is, like, pretty much unfazed, right? Like, you could tell on the inside, maybe some of what Akito was saying was getting at him. Like, that whole laughing stock line. Like, you can tell, even though there was no emotion, to some degree that hurt. Because Haru is a good dude, and he does have feelings, and you know that hurt. For the most part, there's no emotion there. So we see Akito being shitty to Haru. We, of course, later see Akito being shitty to Kureno. Poor Kureno, by the way. But we see Akito being shitty to Kureno, as well as, like, Hattori and Shigure at one point, basically screaming for Kyo, and we'll get there. But we see that Akito is trying his best to, like, make everybody feel bad. And for the longest time, I didn't get it. I was like, why are you treating everybody like garbage? Like, I don't understand, right? And then there's this line from Haru. And this is where we're going to start talking about Yuki versus Haru. But it's going to connect. It's going to connect these two topics. And that is Haru telling Yuki, what, are you leaving the nest? I have a theory. Keep in mind, anime only, so I don't know how accurate this theory is. I'm just reading the writing on the wall here. I think the plan is that since Akito is the head of the household, right? Akito is trying his best to not allow the other members of the Zodiac to be happy. And if they're not happy, they'll stay in the nest. That's why Haru says leaving the nest. And that's why Shigure is disappointed to hear that Yuki thinks that Akito told him the truth. I think Shigure is trying to get these people some damn independence. Shigure, I think, is trying to dismantle the current system that the Somas have in place. Am I saying that Shigure is a total mastermind, absolute, like, mad schemer? Yes, that is 100% what I'm saying. I think Shigure's plan is to disrupt the status quo, and to allow Yuki to grow, and same with Kyo and the others. Like, I think Shigure genuinely does care about these people, and I think he's trying to get Akito to release that iron grip that he has. I think Akito is being shitty to keep them there. I don't know what for. Maybe it has something to do with the Zodiac. Like, I assume it has something to do with, like, maybe, like, if the Zodiacs are, like, too spread out, something bad happens. Maybe I don't know. It's a curse, right? So there's probably some, like, magic mumbo jumbo that I just don't know. But regardless, that's my theory, is that Shigure is trying to get Akito to let them go. That's what I think his plan is. I could be way wrong. I'm probably going to avoid the live chat for this, because I've been getting spoiled in even live chat this time. But yeah, that's my theory. Yeah, the more I think about it, definitely not going to be here for live chat. Future me, if you're here in live chat, you know you probably shouldn't be. You know it. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Yuki and Kyo. Because yeah, we get some Kyo moments this week. Again, the Yuki moments have been, like, flipped with the Kyo moments. And what I mean is, like, in season 1, it was all about Kyo. Like, anytime Kyo got a big moment, it was, like, huge and bombastic. Whereas Yuki's moment were much more subdued and quiet. And it's flipped now. Yuki's moments are big and bombastic, and now Kyo's are a little bit more quiet. And we do get, like, that whole, like, Yuki telling Kyo to keep his cool, which, of course, starts an argument because, yeah, it's Kyo. This man argues with the ocean at one point. But I did like the fact that Yuki is being more confident. He's still just as sort of, like, arrogant at the same time, which is fair. One of the things about the FruBa characters is, like, they have flaws, but you still like them anyway, and Yuki can be very arrogant. Same with Kyo. Kyo can also be very arrogant. It's part of the reason why they bump heads so much. But it's, it's nice to see Kyo, like, recognize that Yuki's right. Because I feel like even though he was arguing, it was mostly just because he was being so arrogant. It wasn't because he disagreed, because it's true, like, Kyo has to keep himself in check if Akito is ever to stumble across him while they're on this trip. Because if Kyo does anything to upset Akito, Akito could very easily turn around and take it out on Tohru. So Yuki's basically saying, like, keep calm for her. Don't blow your gasket. And meanwhile, Kyo's just like, screw you! Like, and screw you, ocean! Because he gets covered in water at one point. I wasn't kidding about that. He actually screams at the ocean at one point. It's hilarious, don't get me wrong. But he does that. And that follows a scene between Kyo and Tohru that I think is really important. And it's Kyo talking just about some of his insecurities, specifically around the bracelet. Talking about, like, sacrifice and how he feels like it's mostly, like, meaningless. And just you could tell he's still wrestling with a lot of the burden that comes with being the cat spirit in the Zodiac. And I have a feeling this is all gonna bubble over probably next week, because next week, the way this episode ends is with Hattori and Shigure being told by Akito to bring Kyo to him. And I was like, oh, snap, right? Because that's how we end. And it's Shigure getting excited because Shigure knows, like, oh, my plan might work. And Hattori being like, you know, you're getting real excited. Hattori, in particular, steps up so big this week. I was happy to see Hattori, like, check in on Tohru and be nice and, like, tell Kyo to keep an eye on Tohru, don't leave her alone, stuff like that. Like, Hattori really trying to keep Shigure's plan in check while at the same time taking care of everybody. I think Hattori agrees with Shigure. Again, I'm reading subtext here, right? Like, I feel like Hattori does agree, because we had that scene where the two of them talk, and he's like, you don't really consider everybody else's feelings. And Shigure's like, pfft. It's true, he doesn't. But he feels like he's doing it for the benefit of everybody. So he's like, screw your feelings, you'll thank me later. Whereas I think Hattori's just like, I agree with the plan, but you're being too callous. Like, that's why I think he checks in on Tohru and Kyo. But yeah, I'm nervous, if you can't tell. I'm incredibly nervous for next week. I don't know what the hell's gonna happen. I don't know, like, I don't know. I feel like there's gonna be a fight. Like, I genuinely feel like, not even like an argument, like, I feel like there's gonna be a fist fight. I think Kyo's gonna throw hands at Akito next week, and I am nervous. But yeah, with that said, everybody, I'm gonna wrap up my thoughts here. I don't really have a question of the day today, so I'm just gonna say, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, use the word hamburger in your comment. That way everybody will know that you watched the whole thing. I don't know why hamburger, it's just, I guess I'm just hungry. And with that said, we've reached the end of the video, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, then don't forget to boop the up snoot and share if you care. And if you want to see me rambling even more, then feel free to follow me on Twitter or join our good folks Discord, both of which are linked in the doobly-doo. Lastly, if you're feeling generous, consider checking out our Patreon page to help support this channel. Speaking of which, I'd like to give a big thank you to our lovely patrons, such as Izevi, Alex, Andrew W., Branson C., Calvin A., Crowbar of Irony, Daniel G., Deep Not That Deep, Digger the Fox, Dominic G., Emily, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria T., Marshall B., Mater, Mirth Mouser, Nymad, Cell, Shadow Creative, Stephen G., The Suavest Orange, Tristan G., and Verdon. Thank you all so much for your continued support over on Patreon, and once again, thank you for checking out today's video. Hope you guys have a lovely day, and until next time, you stay classy, AnyTube, and wash your dang hands.